everybody, welcome to the channel here. Kind of wanted to do a little review with you on warplanes. It's not really a review, but more of like a guide, I guess is what I'm really looking for. So like this one is a fun game. If you haven't done it, it's warplanes, World War I fighters. It's very intriguing, lots of immersion into it, lots of different planes. There's a lot of little quirks to it that not a lot of people know, and there's not really a tutorial, so I want to go through and explain it with you, okay? First common question generally is like what planes are best to use on it. So like if we're going into campaigns here, you'll come to this menu here. I started in Central Powers because that is what I kind of thought it was, but now if you're in Central Powers, you're like on the German side and everything like that. Or if you want to be over here, that's more the American side, I like to call it, for the triple side. So a lot of the big questions is like, what would be the best planes to use is what a lot of people are starting to wonder. I do a lot of the triple side is what I'm on, so let's go into here a little bit. This here will be my little roster of planes that I ended up getting. So let's talk about this a little bit. If you want to know what kind of plane would be best, that depends really what you're looking for. If you like to do bombing, if you like fighting with flares, if you're looking for something fast, what the fastest plane would be versus what is the best turning ones. There's not exactly an ultimate plane, it's what works best for you. It'll start with this Dh10 is what your starter plane here generally will be. And it's interesting flying it. There's a lot of space you can look around, and it has the flares, it has bombs, it has both of those things that you're looking for. So it's a good general starter plane, really. So you can go down here where you get into the Dh10, which would be the second plane. A little bit faster, I feel. Yeah, let me show you that, a little bit faster than the Dh10. Turning is not bad. 87 degrees is actually pretty decent turning when you're talking about that. Now, as for, let's just get to the point. Recommended on airplanes I would do is if you're looking for like a Bristol MH1, that would be my first recommended right here. As you see here, it has dual guns on the thing basically. It is a very quick plane as well. Let's compare it to this one here. So yeah, compared to the M1 versus the M1H, you have two guns on the M1H, which has a little bit more damage to it. Turning is not bad, 80 degrees on turning, climbs fairly quickly, but this one here is a general good bomber plane with a lot of flares if you like to do flaring. So if you don't know what flaring is, we'll get to that in another one here. But yep, flares are definitely helpful. There's no more satisfying kill than hitting something with a flare. They're very high powered. I call them like little rockets inside of a gun basically. So you can hit boats with them, planes, balloons, zeppelins. It does a lot of damage. They're very OP'd. If you're looking for maybe something that can outmaneuver the Bristol, for example, I would go down and recommend your Sopwith Triplane here. This one has the best turning, I think, of all the other planes in this entire game right now. So I use this one quite frequently as well. It only has one machine gun, which I wish there was one that had two machine guns, but I mean, take some, lose some, whichever. If you want to be able to outmaneuver a lot of the planes and be able to get right on them, this would be your other one to get, is your Sopwith Triplane here. The thing is, this one has a lot of flares too, but neither of these have bombs. So if you're in a mission that has a lot of bombs going on, where you need to take out some buildings, yes, flares do a lot of damage on these too. There is some missions I found on multiplayer where you just want a bomber because there's a lot of boats. Then go ahead and do your Arko Dh10 down here. This thing is a bus. It is huge. It takes a long time to get climbing. It takes a long time to turn, 45 degrees on that versus your 90 on your other one. But it has 40 bombs on this guy. And you can't do shooting with this, but it will come with two two little fighters here for you that you can load up in your plane too, that will do like some of your back fighting and stuff for you too, from behind and the front end here. So keep in mind how you're turning the plane to keep your helpers doing the shooting for you. But ultimately, this thing's a really great one too. As you can see, I use this one a lot for bombing. I have my Sopwith Tripling and I have my Bristol here. So those are the ones I'll end up using a lot. Other points as well, if you are upgrading your plane, okay, you'll see I have like a kind of a chrome one, I like to call it, versus this one here. The difference between these is my armor is not upgraded here. So if you don't upgrade your armor, your speed will be better, your turning will be better, versus the one with the armor. Your climbing is a little better. You'll be able to do more turning. So a lot of the time, if you're doing multiplayer, they will be running no armor planes, where they're not upgraded at all. That's a giant thing that helps you a lot with that. Now, if you're just going in with co-op or some raids on multiplayer, you could probably get away with doing that, but even then I still don't run armor with my raids or co-ops. If you are running on the other class, let's go back there really quick. There is some that are very relatively close to those two. So say if you want your dogfighter plane, it's got another triplane, looks just like the other one. Instead of 90 degrees, it's doing 84 degrees on that one there. The other ones for your quicker planes would be your junkers. You got your Dh10 here, which has the dual guns. This is your speed plane right here for a bomber hunter. And another thing I noticed that with the junkers though, so the junker Dh10 has the dual guns. It has a little more horsepower at the 240, but the D1 has 220 and its max speed is not nearly so much. So that's kind of an interesting thing to me, how the Dh1's a little faster and more max speed, and more climbing, but the D2 has more horsepower and the dual guns. So kind of pick and choose what you really want to do with those there. I kind of still like the dual guns, and that's what I use on mine, is the dual guns. If you're wanting the bomber type, all the way down at the bottom again, at the Arko C1, that one only has the 30 bombs versus the 40 bombs on the other side. So that's kind of pick and choose what side you're wanting to do too. So that would be my recommended planes. And like I said, watch your armor control on how much you're doing that. If you do not know this button right here, use it. Go into solo missions. If you see this thing flashing, click it. You will be able to put little rewards in your little medals in each one of these, which will give you some sort of an upgrade that you can do. From like, you can upgrade your planes up to 6 levels instead of just starting off at 3 levels. Upgrade costs will be less, training, plane costs in general will be a lot cheaper. Your prices might be a little higher than mine because I'm all the way down on my plane cost. You can get 5 planes on your squadron basically, so you can have 5 different planes coming with you. Better mission rewards, primary, secondary rewards. Use that all the time. If you see it flashing, make it happen. That will save you so much money and better upgrades. Next one, I think what we'll do in a different one is we'll get into flight strategy a bit and kind of go on from there. Thank you very much.